up? It's Richie here with Statify Football. This is Week 8. Welcome Big Ten and Mountain West. These are the 3:30 games, so they're kind of a lot, so let's jump into it. Alabama, Tennessee. Bama destroyed Georgia like I thought they would. 41-24, Mac Jones, Heisman candidate right there. 417 passing, 4 touchdowns and a pick. Najee Harris, 152 rushing and touchdown. Devontae Smith, 11 catches, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle, 6 catches, 161 yards and a touchdown. 564 yards of offense, forced 3 turnovers. Tennessee got demolished by Kentucky, 34-7. Jarrett Garantano, not a good game. He's so inconsistent. 88 yards passing, 2 interceptions, both pick sixes actually. Their only real bright spot was Eric Gregg running for 128 yards. This should not be close. Alabama is going to demolish Tennessee. All right, Notre Dame and Pitt. Notre Dame won a close game against Louisville, 12-7. Kyron Williams ran for 127. They didn't have much going offensively or defensively, really, other than holding them to 7. Pitt coming off a loss to Miami, 31-19. Kenny Pickett didn't play. Joey Allen filled in admirably. 22 of 46, not great, but 277 and a touchdown. Wide receiver Jordan Addison, 8 catches, 147 yards. Defensively, they did have 4 sacks. And their kicker, Kessman, had with 4 field goals. I put that in because, I mean, this could be another close game possibly and maybe come down to a kicker. Maybe Notre Dame gets upset. I will go with Notre Dame for the win, but I'm going to put Notre Dame on upset alert there. All right, Iowa State and Oklahoma State, possible shootout. Iowa State, last game was a few weeks ago against Texas Tech, 131-15. Brock Purdy threw 2 passing and 2 touchdowns. Breece Hall, 135 rushing and 2 touchdowns. They put up 516 yards of offense. Oklahoma State, they had their game last week postponed. The last game a few weeks ago was a blowout against Kansas, 47-7. Shane Illingworth, 265, 3 touchdowns. Chuba Hubbard, 145 rushing and 2 touchdowns. Tylan Wallace, 9 catches, 148 yards and 2 touchdowns. Defensively had 6 sacks and only allowed 193 yards. This game actually really could go back and forth in this. It might be whoever has it last. I will give Oklahoma State a slight edge. Whatever the over is, over-under is only 52. It'll go way over that. Take that over for sure. All right, another Big Ten game. Penn State and Indiana. Penn State's coming off an 11-2 year. 13 returning starters in on offense. Sean Clifford, 2,654 yards, 23 touchdowns to 7 picks. Ran for 402 and 5 touchdowns. Journey Brown had a great bowl game. Ended up with 890 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns. Linebacker Micah Parsons, one of the best linebackers in a long time in the nation. Maybe in the last 10-15 years, 109 tackles. Indians coming off a good season themselves. They have a really good passing game. They were actually 15th in passing offense nationally in the country last year. 8-5. They have 17 returning starters. They kind of went back and forth with 2 different quarterbacks there, mainly because they both played well. Now it's Michael Penix's show. In his limited time, he did pass for 1,394 yards, 10 touchdowns, 4 picks. Stevie Scott ran for 845 and 10 touchdowns. Kind of a down year because I think he had 1,000 yards a year or 2 ago. Whop Philliard, 70 catches, 1,002 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns. They have their top 3 receivers back. This could be another high-scoring game, but if Penn State wants any shot at a possible national championship, these are the games they have to win. So I'll go Penn State there, but upset alert. Virginia Tech, Wake Forest could be another pretty good ACC game. Virginia Tech destroyed Boston College 40-14. Hendon Hooker, 111 passing and a touchdown, but ran for 164 yards and 3 touchdowns. Khalil Herbert ran for 143. Defensively forced 5 turnovers in that win. Wake Forest had a nice win against Virginia, 40-23. Sam Hartman, 39 passing and a touchdown. Kenneth Walker ran for 128 and 3 touchdowns. Wide receiver Jakari Roberson, 7 catches, 126. Defensively, 3 turnovers. Again, they have one of the best kickers in the country, Nick Saiba. I think he only missed 1 all of last season, or none all. I can't remember. But he was 4 for 4. This could be kind of high scoring. This could come down to the kicker. I will go Virginia Tech with the win. But this should be a pretty... I think Virginia Tech's favored by 9.5. I think it may be closer than that. All right, Middle Tennessee State and Rice. Middle Tennessee, they're coming off a loss to North Texas, 52-35. Asher O'Hara, 164 passing, 3 touchdowns and a pick, ran for 79. Shaton Mobley ran for 156 and a touchdown. Defensively, they forced 3 turnovers. They had a fumble return touchdown, but they gave up 768 yards in that loss. Rice, this is their first game of the year. Their first 3 or 4 games were actually postponed. They're coming off a 3-9 season. They have 15 returning starters, 10 on a decent defense. Wide receiver Austin Trammell, 60 catches, 726, 4 touchdowns coming back. They have a good linebacker in Blaze Aldridge with 102 tackles. They might come out pretty feisty. This is the first game of the year, but I think Middle Tennessee will have too much offense for them. All right, Houston Navy, big game in the American. Houston, they lost. They played BYU pretty decently a few weeks ago. Lost 43-26. Clayton Tune, 310 passing, 2 touchdowns plus 1 rushing. They did have 430 yards, but they had 10 penalties in that game. Navy, they're coming on pretty strong. They beat ECU 27-23. Nelson Smith ran for 157 and 2 touchdowns. They ran for 288 as a team. This will be a pretty interesting game, and if Navy can get that triple option going, which who knows at that point, if they can get it going, they could win, but I'll go with Houston to pull it out here. All right, then we got Baylor, Texas. Baylor, a few weeks ago, lost to West Virginia in overtime, 27-21. Charlie Brewer, 229, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. They only had 27 rushing yards. Defensively, they forced 4 turnovers, which they need to do that if they want to beat Texas. Texas also a few weeks ago lost to Oklahoma, 53-45 in 4 overtime. Sam Ehlinger, 287 passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, ran for 112 and 4 rushing touchdowns. They had 3 turnovers themselves. This will be a pretty back and forth game, I think. Texas, man, I don't know about Texas. You know what? Texas favorite. I'm gonna go Baylor. I'll go. I'm not too sure. Tommy Herman's on very solid legs there. All right, big game in Big Ten. Iowa and Purdue. Iowa coming up in 10-3 season at 13 returning starters. They lost their quarterback Stanley. Their leading returning running back Goodson ran for 638 and 5 touchdowns. Purdue, they had a 4-8 year, but they had so many injury problems with their quarterbacks. Like it was kind of just bad luck. Their coach does have COVID. I don't know if he's gonna coach or not. And their best player, Rondell Moore, he opted out. He's the best receiver in the country, probably. He's out. But they do have 2 decent quarterbacks back. Jack Plummer, 1,603 yards, 11 touchdowns, 8 picks. Aiden O'Connell, 1,101 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, 4 picks. They were the number 12 passing offense last year. And they even have grad transfer Austin Burton coming in from UCLA. So who the hell knows what's going on at quarterback. They do have a good wide receiver coming back, though, that will be playing David Bell. 86 catches, 1,035 yards, 7 touchdowns here. Iowa's normally pretty good, but they lost their quarterback. I don't know. I think I'm gonna go Purdue with the win there. All right, big game in the Sun Belt, Fun Belt. Georgia State and Troy. Georgia State, they lost their last game to Arkansas State, 59-52. Cornelius Brown, 314, 3 touchdowns. Ran for 83 yards and 2 more touchdowns. Tucker Gregg, 142 rushing and a touchdown. Sam Pinckney, 6 catches, 146 yards and 3 touchdowns. 583 yards of offense. Defensively, actually had 4 sacks and a fumble return touchdown, but they gave up 59 points. Troy, they had to eke one out against EKU, 31-29, last-second field goal. Gunnar Watson, 333 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Kamani Vidal, 143 rushing and a touchdown. Kalen Geiger, 7 catches, 100 yards, 507 yards, but they turn over 3 times. They can't do that against Georgia State. This will go back and forth. I'm actually leaning Georgia State here. They've looked a little more. Troy's they have a good record, but still looked kind of up and down. All right, Georgia Tech and Boston College. Georgia Tech got demolished by Clemson 73-7. Jeff Sims, 6 of 13, 81 yards, a touchdown, a pick. They only had 204 yards and 3 turnovers. Boston College, they lost big to Virginia Tech, though, 40-14. Phil Jerkovic, okay numbers, 345, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Wide receiver Jalen Gill, 6 catches, 104 and a touchdown. They put up 435 yards, but they turned over 5 times. I think they come back. I think this will be a pretty close game, but I think they come back and get a win over Georgia Tech. BC wins. Chattanooga playing Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky, they lost to UAB pretty big, 37-14. Gavaris Thomas, 16 of 35, 162, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. They had 4 turnovers there, but they shouldn't have much problem with Chattanooga. Missouri, Kentucky destroyed Tennessee 34-7. Terry Wilson, 12 of 15, 101 and a touchdown, plus 32 rushing, but this was the defense's game. 4 turnovers, 2 pick sixes in that one. Missouri, they haven't played in a few weeks since that upset against LSU, 45-41. Connor Bazelak, 406 passing, 4 touchdowns. Larry Roundtree, 119. They put up 586 yards, but they turn over 3 times. They can't do that against Kentucky. I'm going to say they actually beat Kentucky here and get a win. All right, then the final one of the midday games, West Virginia, Texas Tech, possible shootout. West Virginia, it's looking good this year, kind of like I thought. They beat Kansas 38-17. Jarrett Doege 318, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Brown ran for 195 yards. Lady Brown 195 rushing and a touchdown. They put up 544 yards there. Defensively had 5 sacks and 2 turnovers and only allowed 157 total yards. Texas Tech hasn't played in a few weeks since they lost to Iowa State 31-15. Henry Columbia 10 of 12, 115 and a touchdown. He's going to start. I think Alan Bowman may be trying to transfer. Defensively, they had a blocked field goal, but they gave up 516 yards. Like I said, shootout here, but I'll go West Virginia in the end there. Kind of a cool tie. Jarrett Doege, his brother Seth Doege used to be a quarterback for Texas Tech like 7 or 8 years ago, but just a cool little tie there. All right, check out my noon games and my primetime games later. Peace.